All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Drums and Drams, another Thursday night live stream here on the channel. And we got a fun one tonight. We've got a lot of different things to get into this evening. You guys probably saw the thumbnail on your way in, and honestly, you may have seen some brands that you know and some that you don't know, some that you've maybe heard about but don't know that much about them. So we're gonna dive into some new brands this evening in tonight's live stream. I do want to kind of give you a quick heads up. I have been a little under the weather since last night. I felt something kind of setting in, but you might hear it a little bit in my voice, but I'm actually, I'm at 90% right now, I would say. Little scratchy throat. It's pretty much gone right now. I've got a bunch of vitamins in me, a little Sudafed from earlier today, and my nose and my palate still work just fine. So I'm not going to go crazy tonight. We do have a lot to get into, but I'm just going to take really, really small sips. We're not going to do any, random five-way comparisons in the middle of the stream or anything like that. We're going to keep it kind of on script to the pours that I put on the thumbnail that you see on the table in front of me. But I just want to forewarn you, if there's some tragedy and I have to log off if I start feeling kind of nasty, but it's just a little bit of a cold or something. It's actually the exact same kind of cold that I had when we did the Mad Madness Champions match. Shook, Porter, me, and Grease did that too, yeah. So, and I did okay on that. So it's the same level of cold that I had then. So anyways, I am going to get a little bit of whiskey going here. What I'm going to do first, well, no, I don't want to blow my palate. I got a little liquid IV left here from earlier, but I'll do that at the end of the stream. Just make sure I drink enough water, guys. Hit that like button on your way in. But yeah, tell me to drink water. Remind me. We're going to get into it. By the way, it's been a while since I've streamed. I know we did that thing last week. I think it was last Wednesday from the parking lot in Bardstown from an undisclosed location. You guys pretty much could figure out where that was. But I was there with Brian from Abandoned Bourbon. And so I guess we did stream last week to some degree, but we didn't do an official Thursday night live stream. So this is, for me tonight, it feels like I'm a little out of practice, So bear with me as we get going. Speaking of that Bardstown trip last week, I'm a company man now. Look at this. Don't mind the hat hair, but look at this. Little free swag from Bardstown Bourbon Company. Free hats. I'm a company man now. What can you do, Anyways. Let me say hello to some people in the chat. Brian's here. What's up? How about that Russell's drop? Yeah, let's talk about that Russell's drop that happened today, guys. What a freaking disaster, huh? Joe says, well, crap, I showed up at exactly 9 cam standard time, and to my shock, you already started. Yeah, sellout, I know. Company man, Bardstown says, here, $75 of free swag in the gift shop, and it's like, I'll do whatever you want. I'm yours. No, it was a great time. The gray one is 6, says Bobby. Yeah. They actually comped me this was like $104. They were like, just take it. The 2 hats. So, yeah, the gray hat's pretty cool, right? We'll just alternate back and forth throughout the stream, Oh, check out this Bardstown product. You sold out. I did sell out. So, let me recap last week for you guys. First, I'm going to say cheers. Hope you are having a good Thursday night. I've got some work tomorrow, but then Saturday I've got a gig. But it's been a pretty easy week for me so far. Perfect week for me to get kind of sick, you know? Going to Texas next week to blend some whiskey with Jeb at the Whiskey Blendery. That's going to be kind of a fun trip. So cheers. Let me know what you're sipping on tonight. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. Little Eagle Rare 10-year store pick in my glass. Good news, I can still taste. Whiskey Rambler. Yeah, they were like $52 a piece. I would never in a million years buy a hat for $52. But I was like, oh, $75 free in the gift shop? And then I picked them both up, and I'm like, can I pay the difference? And they're like, just take it. It's like, thank you, you know? I get a new hat once every like 3 or 4 years. I've had the same Middle West Spirits hat since they gave me that hat, I think, back in 2021. So basically that tracks, you know? All right, let me say hey to a few folks. I see Tom Morrow's in here trying to decide what to pour. Well, you join me on a little Limestone Farms here in a bit, man. And so we're going to talk about Limestone Farms, guys. Tom here works with Limestone Farms, which is awesome. So we're going to talk about my trip that I took last week. I think I probably briefly alluded to that in the live stream from the parking lot, but we'll talk more in detail about it. We're going to taste through the entire Limestone Farms lineup that I have in front of me here. It's only missing one, which, you know, honestly, it's a bottle that I'm not saying I don't need to taste it, but it's covered within this lineup, essentially. So these 4 are really the essentials from Limestone Farms. I'm going to taste the Altschuler & Co., which was a surprise to me. These things showed up a couple days ago, so I'm very excited about all this. And we'll talk about the Bardstown trip a little bit, too. I've got these samples of the toasted rye that we picked for Seal Box. Justin, I'm not going to get to everybody in the chat, guys, before we get into it, but Justin says, cast strength pipe dream. What do you think about that? Russell's 15 sample. See, so I'm not a big cast strength pipe dream person. I'm a cask strength Emerald Giant. I love that stuff. I think it's really, really good. Oh, by the way, yeah, I was late tonight. I got another excuse. Listen, I stepped in cat puke at about 8:50 p.m. I stepped in cat puke and then realized I had to clean everything up in the bedroom and pull up the rug that she puked on and the whole bit. So that's my excuse tonight, just so you guys know. What's up, Wayne? Cheers, starting with Little Book 2023. One crazy blend. Which one was that? Chapter 7, Wayne? Gonna keep scrolling. Countdown is on to the family trip to the Outer Banks, says Clay. Nice, man. I was there a couple years ago. It's my first and only time at the Outer Banks. Yeah, Jeremy, you did have a few minutes to get here. Brian, you're not late. I was late. What's up, Darrell? Good to see you. This dude gonna fall asleep live. Shut up, Brian. I love Brian and I have random phone calls, guys. Every couple days we talk on the phone, it feels like. Whiskey cures colds. Not for me. It makes me feel like crap. All right, I think we're getting down here. I'm a sellout. Expensive hats. There are still people hitting go to checkout, says Jeb. That was me. I lasted about 35 minutes of clicking that button before I gave up on Russell's 15 today. Brian says, I need that Limestone Farms. It was so good. Awesome. I'm glad you liked it. Adam, next project for me is getting the merch store up and running. I just got to figure out some things on the back end about all of that. Yeah, Dennis. We the River Roots thing, guys, the Junkies posted today kind of a vlog from the River Roots trip that we did. So we actually dropped those ryes last Friday. Folks are just starting to get them yesterday and today. So over the next, I would say, week or two, the Texas people are going to start getting theirs rolling in later with, along with some other states. But those are now starting to be opened, and people are giving me their tasting notes in the Drums and Drams Discord, which is exciting. And the Junkies is going to drop maybe in a week or something. I can't remember when theirs drops, but I can't wait to get my hands on that one too. Darrell, I can taste that Limestone lineup with you. I've been meaning to get into them. Awesome, man. Which ones do you have, Darrell? Sipping on all three River Roots rye picks, says Mike. So, Mike, let me know what you think, man, in the chat of the stream if you don't mind. I'm not going to check Discord right now, but I'm so curious. Okay. What's up, Devin? All right, let's get into this, guys. So, real quick, let me talk about the giveaway this evening. It's a 12-pour sample pack. We're going to have two winners. So we are doing a giveaway tonight, as you see scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Every $5 is an entry, a super chat entry, whether you go in the super chats on the chat dialogue here in YouTube, or if you go direct to Venmo or PayPal. That way YouTube doesn't take their 30% cut. I'll recognize you either way. what was I thinking here? Oh, the Venmo and PayPal stuff is in the description of this video if you're curious. And so let's talk about the samples and the giveaway. All 4 Limestone Farms expressions that I'm going to taste tonight. We are going to get into this right here, the Smokeye Hill that everybody's been talking about, the George T. Stag Killer. We are going to taste this tonight. That is also going to be one of the samples in the giveaway. We're going to have both of these Altschuler & Co. bottles that I'm going to taste this evening. So this is a 12-year MGP at 116.8 proof. I'm not sure if it's the 21 or the 36. I think it's the 21 mash, but I'm not sure. But then here's the real hitter. 18-year Altschuler & Co. Altschuler & Co. 103.2. So a little bit of a lower proof, but it is cask strength. This is New American White Oak and New Giant French Oak. So we're going to taste this. The 4 Limestone Farms. This, courtesy of Walker, member of the Patreon, this is a Lost Lantern Rich Grain Distilling Co. Single barrel. So I think this is a now defunct distillery. We'll taste that tonight. And then here are 2 other very cool ones for the Year of the Rye 2024. 2 short barrel picks. We are in talks with Short Barrel now. I need to email Clinton back. Looks like we're going to be doing a fall 2024 pick for a 2025 early-ish release. Short Barrel, we've got a 12-year rye at 129, and we have an 11.5-year rye at 127.8. So that's a pretty badass side-by-side of more of these 11-year MGP ryes hitting the market. And finally, I'm going to add 2 kickers into tonight's giveaway. Stag 24A review came out yesterday, and I'm going to bust this back out. We're running low, but I want to share this good whiskey with folks. So Russell's 15 is also in tonight's giveaway. So the 10 bottles you see on the table, plus the Stag and the Russell's 15. So there you go. It's pretty decent giveaway. There's going to be things you haven't heard of if you win it. You haven't heard of till tonight. And I think you're not going to be disappointed. All right, so that's what we're doing. So let's get into this now. Let's go ahead and start with this Limestone Farms. Some folks have been asking about this brand. They're seeing it pop up in their area. They're not exactly sure what's going on with it, and so we're going to talk about all of these bottles. And Tom, if you're in here, if you're still hanging out, if I get anything wrong, please correct me in the chat. Again, guys, Tom Morrow in the chat works with Limestone Farms. So I'm going to pour out this entire line, and we'll go from kind of like entry level all the way up to the expensive stuff. Let's call it that. And I'm going to do this in your left to right, so that it's a little bit easier to track here. I'll get these extra glasses out of the way. Okay. Dennis, Cam, does Middle West do barrel picks? If so, have you done one? Dennis, we did a barrel pick with Middle West. March 30th, we picked it. I think we dropped it it might have been like May 14 or something. It was sometime in May, I think, that we dropped that barrel. It was a wheat whiskey, which, I like all of their stuff. Especially I like the 30-gallon age stuff the best. We didn't really expect to do a wheat whiskey, but then I went and did a preliminary tasting. We talked about what they had available in those 30-gallon barrels, and it seemed like the wheat whiskey was the way to go. So we went with the wheat whiskey. It ended up being like a 6-year, 3-month wheat whiskey at 130.58 proof. Ridiculous pick. But there was only, I think, 96 bottles to go around. It moved pretty slowly. Like, people slept on it a little bit, and now that people are kind of sharing it around, there's quite a bit of demand right now for another Middle West pick. So I don't know how soon we'll do another one. Hopefully in 2025, we can revisit and see what they've got. But we have done one, and it was a big success in my book. All right, Mike, drinking the Chunky and Funky Monkey picks that we released on Friday. Guys, hit that like button if you haven't already. So here we go. Chunky's bright and sweet. Funky is super old tasting, mineral dark fruit, completely different profile than any of these barrels I've tasted. I want another bottle. Nice. I'm glad you dig it, man. It is a funky, rocky, cheesy whiskey. The AI images in the Discord are cracking me up right now. Adam, dude, Short Barrel has really great stuff. Like, all of these ryes I've been getting from them, I haven't gotten any of the MGP bourbons. These ryes are blowing me away. And they've got some of their 15-year still sitting on their website for like $250. Probably aged Barton, I would imagine, from a year or two ago when they released that. But I'm really tempted because everything I'm having from Short Barrel right now is solid. Clay, I can't put that on the screen. Michael Hogan just got 7 to 10 business days notice for the monkeys in Virginia. It's a little delay, huh? All right. So let's go. Last week, what we did, the whole impetus for going down to Kentucky, I think it was a Tuesday. I think I went down last Tuesday. It was a Tuesday, Wednesday thing that I did. The whole reason I went down in the first place is because when I was up with the Junkies a few weeks ago, and I was helping bottle Spirit Walker 2, showed up a few hours late. It was a long drive. Helping bottle Spirit Walker 2, and then the Junkies and I filmed some more. Dan was handing me whiskey. He was just sliding it in front of me, and I was drinking it, and there was really great stuff. And he slid one thing across, which ended up being this bottle. This is the top of the line. It's called their private stock from Limestone Farms. I had no clue what it was. I took a sip, and I was like, I'm blown away by this whiskey. I cannot believe how good this is. I think my first question might have been, how old is this? And this is not even 8 years old, which is like, holy crap. But then, like, you know, the next question is, how much does it cost? And it's like, it's a little over $200. It's like, okay, that's a lot. But this is also some of the best whiskey I've had in 2024. Good things come at a higher price. It's just the name of the game. And I'm a little bit in the camp, maybe too much so, of like, I'm used to spending more money on whiskey. But having had this higher end stuff that they have, not knowing where the source was of this particular whiskey, it intrigued me a lot. And Tom and I got in touch. I can't remember if Tom reached out to me. I think that's probably what the case was. Tom reached out to me and said, hey, I'm the one who dropped that bottle off with the Junkies. I work with Limestone Farms. You should come down and visit sometime. We can taste through some things. You can blend, just kind of mess around and have a good time. No strings attached. No money exchanging hands. You guys know I don't do that stuff. I know this probably sounds a little bit like a sales pitch right now. I promise it's not. This is just me giving you the context and the backstory. So we set it up, and I went down last Tuesday. Didn't really know what to expect because, again, it wasn't like I'm going down to do a pick. I'm just visiting, meeting everybody. Met Darren, met everybody there, and it was a great time. It was really, really great. And when I was there, I was able to taste through this entire lineup that you see in front of me. And there are really positive things about some of these, and there are some things that I don't like as much about some of them. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. And I was honest with Darren and everybody there, and I think, it was appreciated. I hope, because not everybody's going to like everything. But for a new brand, I know they're trying to get, eyeballs, and they're trying to get people to talk about their stuff. And it's tough when some things are like, I don't like that as much. But I think as far as this relationship goes back and forth, Darren's super cool. And when I said, hey, this is a little bit this, but I really like this, I think it was well received. And so that's all you can really ask for. So anyways, all that to say, I tasted through this lineup. I tasted some experimental stuff that they have there. We talked about the distillery. They're just in the process of starting to build it right now. And so what they're doing in the meantime, before they start distilling, is they're sourcing barrels. A lot of this stuff is the 78.5% corn mash bill that you guys know. I'm not spilling any industry secrets. It's Jim Beam stuff. It's the same whiskey that we picked from River Roots that's going to be dropping at the end of August, that single barrel that we did called Going Nuts. If you're in the Patreon, you know about this single barrel. So they have a lot of that stuff that they're sourcing, and that's what these bottom three expressions are. Like the lower, they're not really lower. I mean, this one is very high end, but the bottom three of the four here are from that Jim Beam stock, and then this top barrel or top expression is a totally different source, which I don't know if I'm allowed to publicly disclose that source or not. So let's get into it here. Prices on these things are actually dropping, which is really nice. So we're going to talk about all four of these, and then we'll get into the Altschuler and some of these other pours after this. But they are trying to drop prices on these, as I think what Darren was saying to me is that some of their production methods have changed and allowed them to lower the price. And that's a good thing for the consumer. So there we go. Audio is going out. Let me know. Okay. My connection seems to be good, guys. Okay, let's see. Adam says the Founder's Reserve is Beam. Yeah, so the Beam stuff is the bottom three here, which is the Bloodlines, it's the white label, and then they're calling this maybe the Morgan family. I can't remember what they're calling the brown label, but it's the second to the highest. Okay, good. Audio's okay. Everybody says just restart YouTube. Cool. So let's do it now. First up is this bottle, which has a really badass label. I love this tree on the front. Justin was talking about it in the Discord yesterday. This is at 96.1 proof. It's called their Bloodlines. I think price on this is going to be around $60 when it's all said and done. So, you know, you're looking at essentially competing with like $60 is like a Knob Creek 12. Sometimes that's more expensive. Maybe it's like a Knob Creek single barrel 120 proof type price. So that's kind of the category you're in at this price point. All right, so on the nose of the Bloodlines, this to me is it's a brighter caramel. It does have some nuttiness in here. Definitely like honey notes. And the one thing that I'm not the biggest fan of the entire lineup would have to come from this expression, which is the Bloodlines, again, the lowest end of the bunch. It's that grassiness. And you guys know me, like I'm not the biggest fan of grassiness in whiskey. And some of these beam barrels, I've tasted through a lot of these barrels at different distilleries now, the 78.5% corn. Some of these barrels develop grassiness more often than other distilleries' barrels. Like I've had grassy Heaven Hill and grassy Buffalo Trace, and everybody has that with some of their barrels. These beam barrels in particular develop that note a little bit more frequently, I think. And so this Bloodlines does have it. Some people hate that note, and some people absolutely love that note. So your mileage may vary on that one. All right, onto the palate. It's a big flash of peppery spice and cinnamon spice up front. And that's really a facet of a lot of these 78.5 corn beam barrels. Very cinnamon forward, I think. And I like that because it allows these whiskeys to kind of kick a little bit harder above their proof. And it adds some interest onto the front of the palate. So for me on this one, the grassiness really starts to come in on the finish. So everything up into the finish, there's a little nuttiness in here. Those lighter caramels, lighter honeys. Then you get to the finish, that's where the grassiness kicks in. So for me, like, I think this is a great entry pour. I think it would compete well with other, let's say, Jim Beam products, especially because the profile is similar. But this one, again, is that lighter honeyed take on Jim Beam. So this one is not my favorite just because of that grassiness. I think the average age in this blend is something like 6-ish years old. And so, you know, at 6 years old, I think about other products in the market, let's say from Heaven Hill and from Beam, and this is in line with those products, you know. It's just that the price is a little bit more expensive at $60. But I would say probably right next to Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, this is going to be a competitor type bottle to like a Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond. All right. A little earthy to this too. So grassy, earthy. Those aren't always one and the same, but in this bottle, I think they do appear together. So, all right, Bloodlines, there you go. They do have also a little bit of a higher end version of the Bloodlines called Small Batch Bloodlines. That's the one bottle I don't have here. It would fit in between these two. But I think that one's a little bit more limited from what I understand. All right, so on to the white label now. Now, the white label is when it starts to get serious, you know. For me, this starts to develop this syrupy kind of underpinning to the whiskey. Okay. There's this dark fruit thing, this just richness to the whiskey. And the cinnamon notes in here at this proof, which I think is 110.4. Yeah, 110.4. The cinnamon notes are much darker, much more aromatic. So this on the nose is a humongous step up from the Bloodlines. But there are, interestingly, some of the people I talked to at the distillery, there are some people that actually prefer the Bloodlines because it's the lower proof, it's the brighter profile, they don't mind the grassiness. Some people actually prefer that to the white label. I think a lot of those people are less experienced whiskey drinkers, but it makes perfect sense to me. Devin says, sound like you're having hiccups. Man, so is it still, we're still good? All right. So now you get into like rich, buttery, still spicy, still like those, again, overly aggressive cinnamon happens in these beam barrels. For me, though, it's in a good way. At this proof, at 110, it's not overbearing. At 130, it would be overbearing, right? But at 110, the cinnamon hits you really hard up front, but it's darker, more aromatic. It's a sweeter cinnamon, and then the caramel notes in this are much richer. So, big fan of this white label. This is reminiscent of like that pick that we have coming up from River Roots of this same whiskey. Ours is 9.5 years. I believe this white label is, I think this has got a lot of 8-year in it, if I'm not mistaken. But this stuff is very, very good. Price point, I think, is around $100 on this. So this is where I'm like, all right, I'm dialed in. I really, really love this profile to this whiskey. It still has just this tinge of grassiness on the very, very back end. But it's not enough for me to be turned off by it in this whiskey. So, white label, good stuff. All right, looks like the audio is good. No grass in the white label, just a little bit. Just a little bit. I think there's maybe still a little bit of 6-year in the white label, in the blend. I think it's just more 8-year. Again, if Tom's in here, he can correct me, or if he's not in here and he sees it after the fact, he could correct me in the comments. I'll pin that comment. Moving on to this brown label. This is where I start to, like, from a feedback perspective, to the brand, the white label on the bottle pops, for sure, because of the contrast. The bloodlines pops because you get that the design is just so cool. These next two labels are a little tougher for me, just from an aesthetic standpoint. And if you see this at a bar, you're going to have a hard time spotting this bottle. So that would be my only comment on the presentation. The texture of the label is badass. It's got that kind of like leathery feel to it, but it's really hard to read. That's the only thing. So, you know, you kind of take the good with the bad on this from a presentation standpoint, but that would be my one weak spot on the upper two bottles, would just be the contrast on the labels. The upper, you know, the highest end private stock here is a little easier to read with the gold and the kind of like the dark gray. Anyways. So this brown label, again, 110.4, same proof as the white. And like, this is very, very serious whiskey in this bottle to me. It is like, it's like an Elijah Craig barrel proof competitor, 100%. Man, I can't remember I think this might be like 9-year whiskey. This is where you get a lot of oak in the profile. So the white label develops like the mid palate, the richness and the filled out character that you would want the bloodlines to kind of have. Even like this lacks it, but it's the lower proof. It's the younger age. The white label gives you that body to the whiskey for me. The brown label, this is when you get the oak profile on the back end and it starts to show some really serious age. 9-year it is, says Tom. And that's right, the label represents the family's cattle farm. So that's like the texture and the look of the label. The only thing, again, for me, when you're in the light, like I've got a really bright light here, you can see it when you turn the bottle. But up on the bottle, it's kind of a tough thing to see. You have to move it around a little bit. And then you get the back label, has a little picture on it as well. Russell Meyer, designers and marketing people are sensitive. Don't talk. I know, but I'm just, this is kind of like a holistic overview from a consumer perspective / I guess reviewer perspective. If you want to call me a reviewer, I feel like I'm just a YouTube guy. But this is like where my mind goes for every one of these expressions. So this is oaky, woody, brown sugars. Still super classic Kentucky profile. Darren, we aren't that sensitive. What's up, man? Good to see you. Darren is one of the owners of Limestone Farms. So this brown label is very, very good stuff. Like from front of the palate all the way back, this thing does not lull. It develops very evenly. It's not a huge ramp up. It's just a very steady development that keeps increasing in intensity as it works its way back. Super long finish on this stuff. So This to me is like the sweet spot of this whiskey. I know it's the oldest. I'm a sucker for old whiskey. It kind of is what it is. But this is the sweet spot. Let's go back to the white label very quickly, because again, these are the same distillate. Tom says, no more questions for me, Cam. Darren's here. Yeah, and the white label, again, just doesn't have that oak presence, the filled out oak presence that the brown does. So, in my mind, as a whiskey enthusiast, not necessarily like a general public consumer, my sweet spot on these is the white label. It is the brown label. The Bloodlines is going to be more of an entry-level pour, I think, for maybe less enthusiast types and more people looking for a daily sipper. They're not looking for a high proof. They're not looking for a heavy oak. They can handle a little bit of that grassiness. I think they would go Bloodlines. But Adam says, sorry, bro, had to hop off. The 15-year is Beam Source 2. Wanted to clarify. Oh, okay. I thought that 15-year short barrel was possibly Barton. I didn't realize that was the Beam stuff. Still, that was good. But for $250, I would pass on that if it's the Beam. If it was Barton, I'd probably take a chance at that price point. All right. Last but not least, I'm going to taste this final pour in the lineup from Limestone Farms. Again, this is what got me going crazy about their stuff up at the Bourbon Junkies a few weeks ago. So this is called their private stock. Color on this stuff is pretty darn ridiculous, considering this is 113 proof, like nearly 8-year-old whiskey, I believe. Mash bill is pretty wacky, 70, 10, 10, 10. There's like some honey wheat in the mash, some other things. You guys can look it up online. Oh, man, this whiskey makes me happy. Oh, my gosh. Jesse, I'm doing a little bit of a rehash. Honestly, I don't even remember what I did on Patreon. Darren, I can't give up all your secrets. No. I think it was in a podcast. I think you guys didn't. Someone talked about it on a podcast episode, but I didn't know how public it was, so I'm not going to say anything about the source of this whiskey, but that's on you guys. You guys can spill the beans if you want. Just a reminder, guys, all 4 of these Limestone Farms, plus the Smokeye Hill, Russell's 15, Stag 24A, the Altschuler, both short barrels, and the Lost Lantern, all going to be in tonight's 12 pour 1 ounce sample giveaway. So, 2 winners tonight, just so you know. I'll get to the super chats in Venmo here in just a second. All right. So this bottle right now, I believe, is $225. This private stock. It is not at cask strength. This is watered down just slightly, from what I understand. Darren, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember you guys saying that this gets a little bit of water to bring it down in proof. So 113.2. The thing I love about this private stock is it just smells like pure fruit. It's not like dry fruit on the nose. It's not like I'm reaching for some tasting note. Oh, it's the impression of a cherry. Like, it literally smells like fresh, dark fruit. Fresh blackberries, fresh cherries, fresh kind of plummy grape notes. It's so fresh on the nose, and that's there's like a Cool Whip whipped cream note in here too. And it made me, when I first smelled it, I didn't know the source. I thought this had to be a sweet mash whiskey and probably had a low barrel entry proof. It does have a pretty low-ish barrel entry proof. It's not the standard 125. It's actually, I don't believe this is a sweet mash, but those other grains in here, the honey wheat and everything that you guys can look up online, I think that contributes a lot to this profile. Comes down from 122, says Darren. So, yeah. All right. It is such a rich, sweet, gripping whiskey on the palate. Not tannic, but gripping. Makes your mouth water. It's just fresh fruit in a glass. It, to some degree, reminds me of a fruitier and less funky version of Old Stubborn Batch 2. Old Stubborn Batch 2 is that pot still West Virginia whiskey that Rising Tide Spirits put out. That was like a 10, 11, 12-year-old blend, I believe, in that one. This hits the same way, but it's fresher fruit, less funky pot still notes. Wow. I mean, this, to me, like, it's a little subtle only because the proof is 113. If this was 122 at cask strength, this would be wildly explosive, I think. I did taste this out of the barrel at cask strength, and it's pretty phenomenal stuff. So I think the folks that are going to be into this bottle, the prices are dropping, I think maybe at 200 or just a little bit below 200, something like that, as all of these come down. I think the folks that are going to be into this are folks that aren't afraid to spend $200 on a bottle. It's obviously not cheap. The top two expressions in this line are not cheap whiskey. It just is what it is. But I think both of these are pretty special whiskeys. You know, it's not like you're going to be tasting Heaven Hill 17 from the private stock. It's a totally different profile when you think about price point and everything like that. This is fruitier. This is less oaky, but it's big and rich on the palate. So, damn. 180, says Darren. See, that's at 180. That's a pretty solid price point for this. 225 is expensive. It really is. 180, man. That's great. Justin, 50% of the time, Cam gets more entertaining while drinking 100% of the time. What's up, Matt Porter? Good to see you, man. Matt, you got to check out some of this Limestone Farm stuff, man. I think you would really dig this private stock, this brown label. Russell, these are starting to trickle out into new markets, I believe. So I don't know where the distribution's at right now. Man. So anyways, highly recommend for me, top two. I think these are great special occasion whiskeys. The white label, I really like this stuff. The bloodlines for me, just the enthusiast part of me, this is a pass for me. But it would be something that, you know, maybe a guest, if you're a newer whiskey drinker, or maybe you're going to buy a bottle for guests, maybe this Bloodlines would be better for that kind of a situation. But, you know, I'm really, really stoked about all this Limestone Farm stuff. So that's going to do it for kind of this portion of the tasting. But it's good to have Darren here, good to have Tom here. And thanks, Tom, for hooking everything up, man. So, guys, it sounds like... Tom. Yeah, so it sounds like we're going to do, as long as everything works out, on the back end and all that kind of stuff. It sounds like we're going to do a collab with Drums and Drams and Limestone Farms, where we're going to do kind of a micro batch, a blend of this private stock whiskey, because there's not a lot of barrels of this stuff that these guys have at Limestone Farms. They don't have a lot of this whiskey. So we're going to do a small blend of like maybe 40 to 50 bottles that we're going to go and put together of this. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be probably like a $200, $180, $200 bottle type thing. But then we're also going to do a blend of the Beam stuff as well. And that's going to be more like a 100 bottle blend. So that's going to be a barrel pick / blend that we end up doing, I don't know, sometime in the nearish future, I think. And I'll keep you guys posted, especially over on Patreon when we're going to do that. But it's an exciting project, and it'll be the first blend that we do for Drums and Drams as opposed to a barrel pick. All right, let's keep it moving. Thanks, Darren, for being here, man. We got some super chats that I'm going to get to here, get you guys entered into tonight's giveaway, and then we're going to keep it moving. I think where we're going to go next is probably to the Altschuler stuff. My palate is kind of primed right now for like rich, deep whiskeys, and so we're going to go to this Altschuler 18, and we're going to go to this Altschuler 12 year. Which is a brand that I think some of you have probably seen online. On Sealbox in particular, they do a lot of their drops. Bourbon Outfitter, I think, has worked with these guys too, maybe, on some of their stuff. Raconteur Rye comes from the same woodwork collective that's behind this brand. So we're going to go to those two next, but let me get a couple of super chats here first. Matt, Limestone Branch and Farms are not the same. Not the same. Daniel says, so you're spending $400 of mine. No, you're spending it. That's your choice, man. Listen, and then full disclosure, guys, I should have said this at the beginning. That is totally my bad. These bottles were provided by Limestone Farms. I didn't think I was going to be getting all of this stuff. Frankly, I said, can I please buy a bottle of the private stock? And they were nice enough to just gift the private stock, which, again, is not a cheap bottle by any means. So thank you to Darren. Thank you to everybody for the hospitality. But, everything I said, you guys take it with a grain of salt. If you think that there's any, any bias to go along with that, fully understand. But I always do my best, and I'm always honest whether I like stuff or don't like it. All right, Darren, thanks a lot, man. Hopefully we'll talk soon and get this project going. All right, let's grab a few super chats. I'm going to keep sipping on the private stock and the brown label while we do this. All right, what do we got here? See if we have any PayPal. I'll grab PayPal first. You're giving me no choice. All right, guys, hit that like button if you haven't already. Terry Powers, let me get you in here for 4 entries. Thank you, man. Says cat food. Yeah, the worst thing ever is stepping in cat puke, especially when you got somewhere to be. Right before the stream, it's like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So I don't think I missed any super chats in the actual live chat. So let's move on to some Venmos here. Devin says, when the Limestone Farm started appearing at stores around me, it completely came across as a money grab company. Really glad that isn't the case. Let me speak to that real quick too, Devin. I can't speak for Limestone Farms, but just kind of thinking about new distilleries. I think there's a few different mindsets that happen. Like when I talk to the River Roots guys and some other folks, one of the mindsets is, hey, we're new to the market. We need to barely make any money and keep the prices down and get people, get feet in the door and then up the prices over time just a little bit so that we can, make our margins back. That's one strategy. Another strategy is, hey, we're building a very expensive distillery. This is especially true for the folks that are actually going to distill, as opposed to folks that are always just planning on sourcing barrels and never building a still. The folks that are going to build like a, 8-figure operation, they then have to cover a lot of overhead, or that's their mindset. And so it's like, hey, let's jack the prices up. But the more that I see, there's a middle ground to that, which is like these beam barrels. I know the cost of these beam barrels approximately, and the folks that are selling these are generally taking the same percentage markup on these barrels. Like when I look at River Roots and when I look at Limestone Farms and other folks, when you're dealing with that, let's say 8 to 9 year product, most of them are selling that actually at the same price. Whether or not the consumer knows that those are all the same whiskey, the 78.5% corn mash, maybe the consumer doesn't know that. But I do notice that. Then in the case of Limestone Farms, let's say specifically on the private stock, these are barrels that nobody else has. And I don't know what they paid for those barrels, but Darren did say they were very expensive barrels. So if that's the case, then you have to mark them up to some degree to make your money back. So at some point, it all does make sense. The great thing about like the bourbon junkies with Evernorth is that those guys, like, they're only buying 6-year product right now, like the 6-year Rise and the 4 to 5, 6-year bourbons, I think, from Sagamore. But their cost seems to be pretty low on those whiskeys, and they're just getting ridiculous value for money. So I think that's actually kind of the outlier. Like the Evernorth scheme of being able to sell $65 picks, which tastes like $150 whiskey, that is an oddball in the market. So I'm always trying to keep things in perspective now, where before I think I would just bitch more freely about pricing. Now it's like I go and I talk to the people behind it, and I realize what their costs are for these bottles, and it's like, it's kind of tough. Now, the barrel market currently is kind of crashing. Prices are all dropping across the board. People are trying to sell. That's a good thing for us as consumers, and so we're going to reap the benefits of that here, over the next couple of years, I think. Morgan says, love the sponsor disclaimer wearing the Bardstown hat. We wouldn't be here if we thought you were bought and sold, though. Yeah, I promise I'm not. And I know that's what anybody would say, but the more and more I talk to people, or, I've seen influencers here and there that get paid to say every single thing they say, and that is absolutely not what this channel is about. Cats have stat. That's funny. Dan, cheers, drinking the Dark Arts pick tonight. Awesome. Glad you're enjoying that. Or at least I hope you're enjoying that. Jason, try to join your top tier membership. It says full. Will you be letting more folks enter? I think it was 50. Yeah. Jason, I think we may end up doing 5 more spots in that tier ever. And I don't know when they're going to open up. So, best bet is probably to jump in the $5 or the $10 tier. I think the 25s might even be sold out too, which is a crazy problem to have. I can't believe we've sold those tiers out. But jump in and, I've been kind of making an announcement. Hey, I opened up 2 more spots when I do that. And then, you can jump in as long as you see that announcement. Paul got the B524. Great whiskey. I'm glad you enjoy it. The problem is, as customers, what are you saying? We are pond scum. We don't have anyone below us to pass off costs except other peasants. Just sell open bottles locally. Brian, I'll take payment to say things. Dennis, what's your favorite thing to come out of Ohio? Middle West Spirits. In terms of, let's say, own distillate would be Middle West Spirits. I'm a huge believer in River Roots. River Roots Barrel Company, to me, I'm not going to, I'm biased on those guys. First barrel pick we did there, but we've also been able to find fucking incredible whiskey from River Roots. And they've been so hospitable to us. So, on the sourcing side of things, River Roots. On the distillation side of things, Middle West Spirits. 100%. Sean, I can't always open spots, man. Because I could open a spot. I just want to be fair to everybody, because those spots, when I open the 50s, they go fast. They go really fast. Haha, Jesse. I know it. Okay. What the hell was I doing? Jeez Louise. All right, let me grab a couple of freaking super chats here. Travis is in for one, says, thanks for the great content and all the sweet controversy of laser codes. Speaking of laser codes, the Evernorth Spirits picks are dropping next Friday, guys. Just so you know, we've got like 350 bottles of rye to sell. I think we're going to move it actually pretty quickly. Those are fun whiskeys. Bobby Holton in for 4, hat in the ring for some new stuff. Thanks, Bobby. Greg Y in for 2 entries, $10 super chat. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Amen. Thank you for the support. Mark Gillikin is in for 4, says, for that hazmat Sudafed. I need some of that, right? And then here we go. Walker is jumping in for a massive 20 super chats. Thank you, man. Cheers to that with a little private stock. It smells like maple syrup now. After this sits out in the glass, it's gotten more maple, more sweet, a little less of the fresh fruit. So I like that. Says, too busy to watch live, but I'll check in around 11 p.m. and I'm sure you'll still be going. If not, that 1.75x suits me well. All right, Justin Potts. Thank you, Walker, man. Justin Potts in for 5 for all the people with sensitive palates. Justin, I can't wait for someone to see your comment on that video and think that I'm just being a dick to you. All right, Joseph Hogan, live stream support in for 12, $60 super chat. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for that. Parker Moore, let me get you, and then we're going to move on here. I'll get the rest of the super chats in a bit. Catch back up. Parker Moore says, I saw a rare bottle the other day. K-Luke. Whoa. K-Luke's doing 15-year single barrels? Yeah, I'm very interested in that. What is that stuff? Do you guys know? Oh, Brian knows about these. Those are old school. So is K-Luke 15, is that like, is that the old Beam stuff too? Oh, the early releases. I didn't even know they did those. What's the price on that, Parker? Thanks for checking in about it, man. Be very curious on the price. Let's do one more. Oh, geez, what did I do? I think I hit a button. There we go. Don't want to delete everybody's super chats. All right, Joseph B. I'm not going to attempt your last name. I apologize. It looks kind of Polish, and I feel like I'm going to butcher it if I try. I'm sorry. But thank you for the $10 super chat. Gotcha. And then Parker Sutton on PayPal. Get you in for 2 here with a little whiskey emoji. Okay. Let's move on to this Altschuler stuff now. Thank you all for the super chats and the support. And hope you enjoy the giveaway, whoever ends up getting it. All right, hit that like button, guys, if you wouldn't mind. We have a low turnout tonight. I know part of that is because people think I'm pitching a brand, and so they bail out. I totally understand that. Every time I receive free product and I talk about it on a stream, the numbers are way low. Whether that's because the brand is unknown on the thumbnail or, in this case, maybe they sign in, they think I'm shilling and they sign off. That tends to be the case. I understand. And I apologize, but I'm going to, I do accept free stuff on the channel, and I know sometimes that just doesn't look good. Okay. Let's move on to this Altschuler stuff. Barton and MGP blends. Really? Oh, $450? Holy shit, that's expensive. Wow. Barton and MGP. They had 15-year MGP? So that might be like the same kind of stuff as like Rebecca Creek had, right? Or maybe who else has 15-year MGP? That Mayor Pingree had some, I guess. Mike B, I got you in for 2 Cam. Funky Monkey arrived today with perfect wax. Looking forward to cracking it. Awesome. I'm glad it showed up safe and sound. 100% Polish, says Joe. Brian. All right. Let's go. Let's go into this next thing here. We're going to start with the higher proof because it's a lower age. So full disclosure, again, these were also sent to me for free. I'm going to tell you right now, look at the level on the 18. I've had this bottle for like 4 or 5 days. I did share it with 2 of my friends, and I shared it with Sarah once. This is the level after like 4 or 5 days. All right, so that hopefully speaks for itself. These are bottles that I actually didn't totally know were going to show up. I talked to, I guess I don't even actually know the name of the person I was talking to from the Woodwork Collective Instagram. I don't know who's actually behind the brand, so I apologize for that. Wow, I feel like an idiot not knowing that. But I was talking to someone from the Woodwork Collective, and they offered to send me these 2 bottles. This might have been a month or 2 ago, and time went by, and I didn't think anything of it. And then the other day, these showed up on the porch. Reminded me of our conversation. These are both single barrels. These guys put out very expensive whiskey. In a lot of cases, not in every case, but in a lot of cases, the whiskey's what regular consumers would consider to be pretty darn expensive. This is a $450 bottle, and this is like 180-ish. So 12-year cask strength MGP, 180 is not terrible. Dark Arch is 150, and it's 2 years younger. So that's comparable to me. But this 18-year at 450 is quite expensive. We can kind of all agree on that. Anyways, let's get into it. Brian, is this the 12-year E code? 22E is the barrel. Yeah, barrel 22-E. Yeah. Parker says only 2 releases. The first is 114, the second 72. Damn. Was SRP $450 on those releases? Oh my God. So this MGP, when I see a brand like this and I see the prices, I usually go, okay, this looks like a money grab. They put out Rack and Tour Rye. I love that stuff. On the nose, this is special MGP on the nose. It just is what it is. It smells like old school Smooth Ambler picks, old school Boone County. It's so blueberry and blueberry, blackberry fruit notes on this one. What is going on here? Google Chrome. Huh. Oh my God, this smells ridiculous. All right. I mean, this is crazy whiskey. This is crazy whiskey. I don't know if this is just them procuring great barrels and like hand selecting them from a distillery or something. I don't understand how they get this flavor profile. It's so cooked down and concentrated in the whiskey. Jesus Christ. It's so amazing. John, what's the laser code of the 22E? Well, it does say bottle number 21137. Maybe that'll suffice for your purposes. Jeb, I can bring these next week. Maybe I'll put these in sample bottles. But I can bring them. Dude, ridiculous whiskey. This MGP, 12-year MGP, it's not even crazy high proof. It's 116 and it drinks like 125. It has such intensity. I do not understand this stuff. Oh my God. It is the most concentrated MGP bourbon I've had this year. At this age. Maybe I've had like a 15 or 16 or something. Like, I don't know. Rebecca Creek's, those are from last year or whatever. But this year of like a 10 to 12 year MGP, there's nothing like this. So for $180, I know it's a single barrel. Your mileage is going to vary between barrels probably. This is holy shit whiskey for me. This is buy two. God. Okay. Brian says, when you aren't streaming, sip it outside. It's yeah, this makes sense as an outside whiskey. It's so fruity, man. It's like blueberries. It's sweet candied blueberries. Blue raspberry almost on this. And it's got this great kind of earthy, mossy oak in the background. Okay, we got to move on. That is phenomenal. Let's move on to the 18 year now. So I was skeptical as shit about this 18. I almost bought this on Sealbox. I almost just pulled the trigger not knowing anything about it. $450. The only reason I didn't pull the trigger on this is because it said French oak. It's new American oak and new giant French oak is what it says on the label. At $450, I'm not a big French oak person. I was like, I just cannot do this. Brian sent me his tasting notes for it. The tasting notes sounded really good. At that point, I think it may have sold out or something. I don't know. Maybe I still wasn't convinced because of the price. So then, this ends up showing up, which is amazing. Again, 103.2 proof. William, buy two at $5. This isn't $500. This is $180. This 12-year MGP was $180 on Sealbox. And I don't know that this flew away fast. I'm not sure. Brian could tell you. So, but this is $450. This one is the expensive one. I haven't said to buy two of this. I haven't said that yet. I'm not going to say that. This smells like a Dusty. This smells like the Old Fitz 13 from Heaven Hill that came out this year. It's like chocolate chip cookies, fudge brownies, very rich molasses oak, but it's actually light. It feels almost like a weeder because the proof is only 103, so it has this light airiness about it. It doesn't smack you in the face. But it legitimately smells like whiskey from the 80s. Oh, it did sell out in Pro, Brian? Okay, I didn't know. I figured these wouldn't sell super fast just because a lot of folks don't know about them, including me. Man. This is wild. This is wild whiskey. It is light, though. That's the only complaint. If you're looking for, like, huge, bold whiskey, this isn't that. You have to want something delicate and balanced. Tobacco notes in here. Very leathery on the back end. Not really up front leather. Up front is all sweet chocolate notes. Rich, creamy. Back end is where it starts to get very, very oaky. Those antique notes. The leather. So to me, this is like if you had the opportunity to buy an older expression from these guys. I think this is probably sold out by now. If, let's say, this were to hit again, a 17 or an 18 year that they do like this, they had a Mizunara version, they had a French oak version. Tasting both of these whiskeys now gives me the trust in this brand to put my money behind buying one of these bottles, whereas before I was skeptical. Like, frankly, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. This is not like a buy a case of a $450 whiskey recommendation, but if you're looking for a special occasion pour, this didn't move immediately on Sealbox, and you want the guarantee of getting something pretty darn good, whereas you might stand in lines and not be able to get your old Fitz 13s and stuff like that, or you have to go to secondary for those. This is a little bit of a surefire thing in between the SRP and the secondary price of those other really allocated bottles, if that makes sense. So you're kind of splitting the difference with price and availability on something like this. None of that matters. Like, this is gone at this point. To me, this is just a way to evaluate what these guys from Woodwork Collective are doing. And I think these Altschuler bottles are really special. Like, both of these, at least. Maybe they're not all this good, but these two are. It's so good. It's like the only complaint is it's 10%, 15% too light on the palate because of the proof. But it's crushable. That's why I've gone through this much of the bottle so far. I can't stop drinking the damn stuff. So whoever gets the sample packs tonight, I'm really, really wondering what you think of these two Altschuler bottles. So if you're in the Discord, if the winners end up being Patreon members, I would love to get your thoughts on these. Maury, what's up, man? Haven't been able to hang, but wanted to say thanks for the chunky and funky. Hope you enjoyed them, man. I think you did mention that you were digging them, which is great. I just want to get people's feedback on the funky monkey, man. Brian says, I think Altschuler is more expansive of a pour. I think Dark Arts is more fun. Altschuler hard to just casually have it. It makes you think. The darts, yeah. That's true. Like, this Altschuler to me is sit and think whiskey. You're totally right about that, Brian. And the Dark Arts is kind of crushable whiskey. So, yeah, Jeb, Brian was telling me earlier that he has the chance to go pick another Nulu short barrel. I would imagine for Sealbox. And I said, let me come. Please let me come with you. Yeah, what do they tell you, Brian? Do they tell you when they're going to pick that short barrel, like, hey, we are going to... Do they just throw that in the mix? Or do they say, hey, we have like 4 short barrels. Do you want to pick between them? How does that conversation go? The 18-year... These are ridiculous. All right, I got to stop. I'm at this point, I'm a shill. Everybody's going to think I'm a shill tonight for these brands. But I hope with all of the other things that I say about other whiskeys that you can give me this give me this one night your trust that I am not being paid to say these things about these whiskeys. Dude. Brian, yeah. Oh, my mouse just died, I think. Weird. Yeah, my magic mouse just totally crapped out on me. Yeah, we are a good pick team. I do think so. I think we work well together, man. Devin, they didn't steal the rye. Let's. I do have that here, though. I do have the 2 ryes. The one is I don't know which one is the one that I like the most. You can just smell them real quick. Okay, Brian, I will say, I don't think you guys were going to pick 2 ryes until we started really talking about barrel 2 down on our end of the table. Yeah, this is the one. Mike, can we trust your palate tonight, though? Dude, my palate's on right now, actually. It's just like when we did the Matt Madness Champions match. Did my mouse just total... Okay, there we go. I was this sick on the Matt Madness Champions match, and my palate was on fire that night. It felt like, at least. Let's do this now. Smokeye Hill. Let's see if we can get the camera to focus. There we go. Smokeye Hill Barrel Proof. This is 131.2. Brian, I think I could have begged Ron hard enough to get that barrel. I think I could have. I texted him. I'm like, I really want this barrel, Ron. Please help me. He's like, I'll be over in a few minutes. Okay. So Russell Meyer, that's a great question, man. That's a great question. There's going to be a big proof discrepancy, but let's do that. I said I wasn't going to do any impromptu comparisons, but why not? Let's do one. My palate's on, so let's do the comparison before I get sicker tomorrow. What's up, Walker? Good to see you, man. I also want the next new loose short barrel. I own the first. Yeah, it is one of my favorite releases of the year. Love it. So, Russell, this is a really... I love that your name is Russell and we're talking Russell's 15. This is my issue on this comparison when you talk from a price perspective. It's the fact that, like, me personally, I will never, ever see a Russell's 15 for $250. Ever in my life. When this drops in Ohio, the lines to get this damn bottle are going to be 8 hours plus, I think. And everybody's going to know it's coming that day. There's not going to be a shot to get this bottle for me. And then with the online lottery literally breaking twice now and just being a total mess, I am going to have to pay secondary for this bottle. So my first one that I bought here, I think I paid $700 for this, right? That doesn't feel good. They're down under 500 now on secondary. But for me, when I talk price comparison on these things, in my head, this is a $450 bottle because it sat on the website, didn't fly away immediately on Sealbox, and that's the SRP. So it's $450. To me, this is a $450 to $500 bottle right now, in my mind, because that's the only price I'm going to see it at. If you want to talk SRP, that changes this whole conversation, but it's really hard for me to talk SRP on these because I just know I'm not going to see that. So I don't know. So I'll just do this comparison without thinking about price. I'll just talk whiskey for a second, and then we can kind of reconcile at the end with price. Sudafed is steroids for the palate. JG, spoiler super chat. You got it, man. I got you in for one. Thanks, Jay. Yeah, I know, Jeff. I got to have my palate be okay on Monday or on Tuesday. I think I'm going to be fine, dude. It's Thursday. I've got some days to go. Should be okay. Wayne, what is the Nerds and Turds 16 year? Is that light whiskey? I think Bull Run at that age is all going to be light whiskey, right? Unless it's some of that sourced beam. But I don't know if they still have any of that stuff. Or doing pics of it. Brian, compare the 12-2, though. Yeah, why not? You're right. Brian says, hot take, the Altschuler is better than Russell's 15. Oh, let's see. All right, here we go. So here's the Altschuler. It's so, it just smells like Hershey syrup, you know? It's, okay. This smells like a Willet Purple Top, Heaven Hill sourced. This smells like old school Willet Purple Tops. That's what this reminds me of. Yeah. Okay. Now Russell's 15. This is tough. The Russell's on the nose is not as good. And I love Russell's 15. I can't stop with this bottle, but light whiskey finished in Pinot. Then, you know, Wayne, then for me that's not a good comparison because light whiskey finished in Pinot is actually the best light whiskey that Bull Run puts out. Maybe the best on the market for me. I love the Pinot finished stuff. But you know, that's a totally different style than this 18. All right, Russell's, Altschuler. The Altschuler is more obvious. It's right there on the nose. The Russell's, you have to dig. It's fruitier for sure. The Russell's is way fruitier, but I don't know. It's less available on the nose, I guess, is what I would say. All right, I'm going to taste the Altschuler. All right. We are hemorrhaging viewers tonight. That's okay. I know there was no pour on the thumbnail of like a heavy hitter bottle that people know. I thought about just putting Stag on there just to try to get eyeballs, but I'm like, I don't want to be dishonest. Because the only thing happening with the Stag tonight is the giveaway. All right, Russell's 15. Okay, well, the Russell's 15 is more closed off and tight than the Altschuler on the palate too. I'm probably going to say Russell's 15 wins this for me. But it's real close. It's real close. And it's just totally different styles. Yeah, I don't know. Brian, what's the blue Altschuler bottle number? God, it's so hard to read. 76 out of 200 from barrel 22-K, I think is what that says. Parker, who let Justin's sensitive palate pots in here? Well, we can't kick him out, so I guess he's got to stay. Son of a bitch, he says. Adam, a restaurant near me did a pick of the 16-year bull run finished in Pinot. It was like 45. Yeah, the value on those whiskeys is crazy. And the Pinots are really, really good. Brian, no, this is the 18-year, man. Yeah, 18 years. Distilled in 2005, it says. What's up, Josh Fritz? Jeb sipping on 2023 Weller 12, crushes the 21. I don't know what it is about the 2023, man. They must have used older whiskey or higher floors for the barrels because the whiskey's noticeably darker and the flavor is way more intense. But yeah, I think at 100 proof would be, that would be nice. All right. Russell's. Back to Altschuler. It's just the proof difference, which is tough to evaluate. They're both so good. And they'd probably make a good blend. So. Okay, let's move it along here to the Smokeye Hill that I just washed my hands in. Oh yeah, Brian, I didn't compare to the 12. That's okay. So here we go. Smokeye Hill. Is this the George T. Stag Killer? It's certainly dark. 131. This is made with blue corn. Blue corn, yellow corn, rye, and malted barley. And it's distilled in MGP, or at MGP exclusively for Hazelwood Spirits Company. So this is seemingly this is their own contract mash bill with this blue corn. All right, very ethanol forward on the nose for me. Whoa, Bobby saw a review that gave this a... Are you talking about the Smokeye Hill? Adam, what's the best value of all the bottles tasted tonight? So far, it's tough because they're all pretty damn pricey. This was admittedly kind of an expensive bottle type live stream. Best value. Weirdly enough, this is a weird take because it's $180. Probably this MGP Altschuler because I can't think of a lot of other MGP like this right now. The other option for me would probably be like the Limestone White Label. But with the prices coming down on the Limestone, I would probably go Brown Label. Like Brown Label to me is a sweet spot for that line. And then that 12-year Altschuler. But Smokeye Hill, I mean, this is like $80, and so let's see what this is like, So this was a perfect score on Reddit for somebody. That's, I mean, look, whoever tasted this in the Ascot Awards, I don't remember who had it in the Ascots or whatever. I just heard that somebody was saying that this beat George T. Stagg. I don't follow all the Ascot stuff. Maybe the bottles that they were given were a good batch, because they do have different proofs, a lot of these. This, to me, smells like kind of granular sweet cinnamon. Oh, you know what that reminds me of? Michter's Barrel Strength Rye 2024. That granular honey sweetness that I talked about on that with cinnamon notes. This has that. But this is super ethanol forward to me. It's a little bit yeasty. There's kind of like a smokiness in the background, like a charry smoky thing. And a lot of like aggressive dry dark fruit. It just smells like good, like 4 to 5 year MGP 21% rye. The best thing I can equate this to is like 2020 era backbone picks of 4 to 5 year MGP bourbons, 21% rye. That's what this smells like. Now the blue corn does add a certain note to this, and it's always hard for me to describe blue corn. I have that issue with the New Riff stuff, with the Still Austin blue corn. I don't know what the note is than to just say that's what blue corn smells and tastes like. And you either hate it or you love it. This is fine. This is fine whiskey. It's not bad whiskey. Very, very sweet. That same kind of granular sugar sweetness that I got on the nose is on the palate. Super sweet. It's almost feels like I need to like lick my teeth and get the sugar off my teeth. So I'm going to be curious, if they let this distillate age 8 to 10 years old, what it would taste like at that point. Right now it's fine. At $80, the price is probably right. Contract distilled stuff from MGP. It's new to the market. No one else is doing this blue corn thing. The price is probably right. I'd love to see it at 60, but nowadays, $80, it is what it is. This is not a George T. Stagg killer. It's not close to a George T. Stagg. It's like maybe somebody who is new to whiskey and would drink these two side by side would get a lot of the sweetness from this and love that. And they would taste the George T. Stagg and maybe not like some of the oakiness of that whiskey. That's the only way I could see this beating George T. Stagg in a blind. What's going on with Jay? Cam, do you only own black hats? No, I don't. Where'd I put it? Hello, Jay. Nice to meet you. We have a gray hat now. I'm a company man. Bardstown Bourbon Company. Russell says Traveler got double platinum. Grain of salt with these awards. Absolutely. Whoa, the reviewer that did that said the only GTS the Smokeye is beating is 2021. Yeah. For those of you who don't know what Brian's talking about, they didn't release George T. Stagg that year. This dude was on review like 3,000 or something, so he's had some wow. Yeah, this is not a perfect whiskey unless there was a batch, and I wouldn't put it past them to, any company to send their best stuff to these competitions. And knowing what I know now about the fact that like that New Lou 5-year, 10-month short barrel can taste like some of the best whiskey of the year, and it's 5 years, 10 months. Excuse me, because it comes from a short barrel, I wouldn't call it impossible for a couple barrels of this whiskey to be at a certain level that's unbelievable. But this bottle is not that. Blue corn, Still Austin is a gem, says Jeb. I agree. Interesting. Josh, I don't know how old this is, actually. No, Devin, I mean, I'm not calling them newbies. I'm just saying, like, if it came down to this bottle and George T. Stagg and I gave it to somebody and somebody preferred this over the George T. Stagg, I would have to imagine that in that situation, the person tasting it on the other end would probably not be like a seasoned whiskey enthusiast. The bottle that they had for Ascot's could be a completely different story. Smokeye micro batch. I know. Let's get the conspiracy started. Oh, wow. This is 5 to 7, huh? From different size barrels. Oh. Interesting. And char 2 to 5, huh? Josh, the 2018 George T. Stagg is one of the best. It's such a sleeper. All right, so there we go. That is the Smokeye Hill. Sorry if that was a little, I don't know, uneventful or something. All right. Excuse me. Yeah, Jeb says Smokeye sent their 23A barrel into the awards. They may have. They very well may have. Clean glasses. So, very quickly, let's move on to something that was not sent to me. This is actually, kind of interesting for me too, because, the channel has over the years gotten some free samples. There have been companies that have sent me free stuff. I've not said anything good about them, and then they stop sending me stuff. And then there are other companies that are just sporadic with what they send. One company that's been pretty darn consistent has been Still Austin since the High Rye Bourbon release. They did the Blue Corn High Rye, the Bottled and Bond Rye. They've sent me all of that stuff, which has been very cool. And I've actually liked all of it, but I've never done a video. I've just done it on live streams, and they continue to send it, even if they haven't seen me necessarily put out content on it. But it has been interesting to receive more product recently. Like, higher end stuff and more frequently. I really do count myself lucky for having that happen. But at the end of the day, you still got to be honest about the whiskey. So these were not sent to me. I purchased both of these bottles. These are both MGP ryes. This is the first one I picked up from Perdido Liquors, the one that we posted about in the live stream chat a couple of weeks ago. I think Walker's the one that keyed us into this. And this is a 11.6-year-old rye at 127.8 proof. And then this is a 12-year rye that I got off the Short Barrel website. I think Walker also let me know about this one, if I'm not mistaken. This is 12 years old, and it's 129 proof. Both of them are super dark, as you can see. It is a fat bottle, but they are both dark whiskeys. So I just wanted to taste these on the stream because, again, it's Year of the Rye 2024. Drums and Drams has picked 3 barrels of these kinds of ryes. And if we do a short barrel pick in late 2024, I'll be curious to see, what barrels they have, what the heat has done to those barrels after a summer in Atlanta. So here we go. Let's taste the lower proof one first and the younger one. 11.6 years, 127.8. Ooh. Devin says the Middle West Drums and Drams pick is damn good. Awesome. Jeb, are you trying the 11-year bourbon? Well, Jeb, I didn't want to. I thought I was bringing that for you, man. I didn't want to open that. If you didn't want me to, I can go grab it. It's still in the box. You want me to open it? Because I will. James is, that's why Devin said that. Middle West Drums and Drams in the glass tonight, hopefully chunky and funky tomorrow evening. Awesome, man. It's so crazy that when Drums and Drams barrel picks, when people have them and they send pictures of drinking that stuff, it does not feel real to me. It's like, I can't believe we picked this barrel and it's now in people's hands and they're drinking it. Pretty wild. Jeb, I know it's your, all right, I'll go get it. true unboxing. All right. Little ASMR maybe? Or maybe this is going to be really loud. This also looks very dark. Mike says, so I can decide when to open mine. Brett, I'll unbox with you. Jeb says, I thought you said you bought it as well. No, I didn't buy the bourbon. I just bought these ryes. Someone fat-fingered the proof. Or fat-fingered. That's a typing term, but, with their handwriting. I think it's 119 proof. Nothing like having someone else open. Shut up, Jeff. Oh. Yeah, now, even if you don't want me to open it, now you have no choice. I can do whatever I want. We're live on the internet. And I have a knife with your bottle. Someone clip that. All right. Here, Jeb, I'll make a clean cut for you. There you go. Nice and pretty, Jeb. That was a good one. Holy shit. Okay. So now we have 3 short barrel products on the table. We're only doing the giveaway for the ryes. We're only doing the giveaway for the ryes. We may as well do this bourbon real quick. Fresh crack. Dripping it on the table. This is 11-year MGP bourbon. Probably the same stuff that other folks have been getting. Probably, right? 36. Is this the 36 rye, Jeb? Do you know? Huh. Okay, so this is the Altschuler. Very sweet. That Altschuler's lights out. So this is 36 rye. This is darker and more savory on the nose than the Altschuler was. Well, I might have to compare this to the Dark Arts picks. We might just be in it a little bit more tonight than I thought. I'm going to come back to that. The finish is a little short. It's really delicious up front. It's just that the finish falls off a little fast. Is this a pick? Bourbon Finds and... Oh, take. Okay. Okay. I don't know who Bourbon Finds is. I'm actually doing okay, guys. Like, I've had very little whiskey, it feels like. All right, we'll revisit this. Slat fan, I thought this guy was sick. I do not collect knives. Actually, this was a gift. This one was a gift from Chris Salmons, who's a Patreon member. He insisted that I take this when I went to his house, and I felt bad, but he assured me that he had way too many knives. So I was like, all right. But it's been a nice one. I hate you, Travis. These are regular AirPods, bro. AirPod Pro don't fit in my ears. I can't use them. Let's give that time. Let's give that whiskey some time in the glass there. Okay, I gotta check. I probably need to check Venmo. Good Lord, you guys are killing me. Okay, hang on. We got another PayPal here. Jeffrey Smith. Let me get you in here, man. In for $2, $10 super chat. He says, love the show. Thank you. All right. Jay, Cam, I see you're sponsored by Little Giant Ladders from the latest BJ video. Last BJ video. That's funny. Wait, it's also take. Send it back, says Jeb. Sure you didn't steal that knife from Sean? Oh, man. Okay. Cheese said to Brian, if you had to pick one NBC from the seal box, what would you pick from the 3 release to Pro? What did Brian say? Okay, the 11 year. Yeah, I'm right there with him. The Tennessee's fun, and the Tennessee's actually a great value. It's like $60, that 5 year. I like that whiskey a lot. The 11 year to me was the best one that we tasted of the day. At 180, that is tough, and I wasn't in a controlled tasting environment, so we were talking about that on the Discord earlier, and I'm like, I don't know if I should recommend that you guys spend 180 on this, because it was not a controlled environment, but it was really good whiskey from what I remember. I'm just not good at smelling and tasting outside. I don't know anything about Premier Drams, Bobby. All right, let's do this MGP side-by-side, starting with this 11.6 year, 127.8 proof. Short barrel. Who said something about... Sean, I do have a Kershaw in my backpack. Those are the only 2 that I have, though. Woo! So this... it smells like a cinnamon roll. A little bit of peppermint, kind of peppermint schnapps note. Yeah, a little spearmint, peppermint schnapps, cinnamon roll. It's very bright, sweet, lifted rye on this 127.8. Oh. I have goosebumps. I have goosebumps from this. This short barrel on the palate. I'm so excited if we get to do a pick with these guys. Clinton from Short Barrel sounded all about it. I just need to send him an email back. Wow. That's so good. And this is the Perdido Liquors pick. They picked a very good barrel. The nose is not as good as the palate. But let's move on now to this newer one. This is the 12-year distillery exclusive. It's a little darker whiskey. A little higher proof at 129. Whoa. This is totally different. Yeah. Completely different on the nose. I don't even know what this note is. It's a little closed off, actually, because the proof is so high and the concentration is so intense. It's there's very, very dry, dehydrated, dark fruit notes and leather. Like those are the 2 big standout qualities of this. It doesn't even really smell like a rye whiskey to me. It crawls up your nose like a rye. You can get the spice there, but it doesn't have notes on the nose that remind me of rye. The 127 has that peppermint, and that kind of thing, the cinnamon that lets me know that it's a rye. This does not. This also smells like something, like sometimes I say baked goods. This is those dry, dehydrated, dark fruit notes, leather, and like baked goods. Jeez Louise. It's savory. That's really what it is. It's so concentrated with flavor at 129 proof that it's like savory. Oh, God. I don't know which one I like better. I might weirdly like the Perdido Liquors pick better because the flavor notes are a little more obvious and easier to read. Whereas this is like a challenge. Like this 12-year distillery release is a challenge to drink because it's so damn intense. Like this is not a crushable whiskey. This is the whiskey to sit down and spend time with. And the Perdido pick is one that you could go through a little bit easier. God. Pink Dan, what does it mean when you say closed off? You know what I need to figure out? I need to figure out like an everyday pour that people would have access to that demonstrates a whiskey feeling closed off that I could say, hey, you know, for instance, let's say it's Rare Breed. It's not. But let's say it's Rare Breed, and I could say, hey, go smell Rare Breed, and then put it next to XYZ whiskey. And the difference between them is that this one's obvious and readable, and then this one is closed off. Closed off to me means it feels like there's a layer. Like if I do this is stupid. If I do this motion with my hands, that's what the whiskey smells like. It smells like there's something that I need to like uncover or unravel on the nose to get beneath this tight layer where the whiskey is just tight and closed off. Like I need to get beneath this upper layer to get actually into the notes on the nose. So if I smell this, it's not jumping out of the glass to me and saying, hey, here's a cherry note, here's a peppermint note, here's this. I smell it, and it just smells like this one conglomerated thing that I can't read, you know? And sometimes if you add water and it breaks things apart, then those notes become a little bit more disparate, a little more, you know, pointillistic, and you can like individually read them on the nose. And sometimes you just need air in the glass or whatever the case may be. But I think a lot of it has to do with like with aging conditions. A lot of really closed off whiskeys end up being high floors, high heat, you know, like cooked down concentrated whiskeys that are really dark. Then that can close them off on the nose. But for me, it's like really hard to describe that. What's up, Russ? Jeb says closed off means it's muted. Hit it with the frother. Am I going to do it? I think I'll do a frother tonight. I'll be right back, guys. Sarah has one of these things. I'll be right back. Here's another description of closed off, Dan. If you take, I don't know what kind of glassware you have. Parker. So I've got a bunch of different glassware in this room, right? And the reason I use these glasses, which I talk about all the time, is that they have a slightly larger volume in the glass than a Glencairn does. So the Glen not only has a smaller bulb at the bottom, like a tighter bulb at the bottom, and this one is a little bit wider, but just the volume itself, this glass holds just a little bit more. So there's more airspace in the glass. A tight whiskey, a whiskey will appear tighter in different glasses. So if I pour the same whiskey, like let's go with this short barrel, right? The one that I'm saying is tight. This is a Copita glass. A lot of Scotch people use these Copitas. This is a glass that makes whiskey smell super tight because the volume is so small in the glass, and from top to bottom, like there's no bulb. The widest point's in the middle. All I smell is alcohol in this glass. So on a Copita, like I have to get my nose really away from the glass. So that the smaller the volume in the glass and the less distance from bottom to top, in my experience, and the combination of those two things will add tightness to a whiskey. So here's like a really small glass, small volume. It's like nothing's even there. This is just so ethanol forward. It's not only tight on the notes, but it's also tight on the ethanol, where I just can't read anything out of this glass. I can read more on the Copita, and then this glass now smells not tight in comparison to these other two, right? Jeb says it's like going from standard definition to high definition with TV. Totally. Actually, Jeb, not to be too nerdy about this comparison, to me that's like pixelated, right? You go from 360p to 1080 on YouTube when you click to up the quality on the video. But in my mind, it's actually, if you could just if you had a picture and then you put if you just put a layer over a picture, and that layer is a black rectangle, but at like 50% opacity. So it's like you're basically just taking a picture, like me right now, and make this entire thing 50% darker, and you can't really see it like this. Here. Sorry we're going so deep on this. I apologize. This. So, like, besides the words on the screen, I'm still back here. You can see my hand on the right side of your screen, right? Waving up and down. That's like what it smells like. It's like I'm trying to get through this, and then if I use a better glass, it turns to this, where I can get a better read on it. You can see it a little bit better, smell it a little bit better, but this is a not tight whiskey, the actual picture. That's the best I can do. And so, like, for instance, the least tight whiskey that I have smelled all night has been this, the Altschuler 18, because it's only at 103. It's so packed full of flavor, but it's so readable. Like, immediately it jumps out of the glass. I know exactly what's going on here, and it doesn't feel like it's covered by a layer of ethanol. All right, let's get these glasses out of the way. Let's froth some damn whiskey. Brian, I hate you so much, dude. All right, this is the A-B comparison of frothing whiskey. This will remain unfrothed. Okay. Same thing. I've never used one of these. Is this going to splash everywhere? Oh, shoot. Oh, shit. It is going to splash everywhere. How much should I do this? It's like a fine whiskey mist. This is entertaining. You got to give it a second. The ethanol is like freaking out right now. It's pouring out of the glass. Huh. I'll be damned. No way. Jeb says, this is painful. Why is it painful? Travis, is this one of those interpretive percussion sections you had to do to get your degree? Yeah, basically. You guys should see some of the things I've done. No, in percussion. Some of the pieces I've performed. Very interesting. Let's... Oh, God, that's amazing, man. Jeb says, put the frother in the liquid, let it rip for 10 seconds. More foam, the better. Parker, no one should tell a man how or how not to froth his tight whiskey. Oh, my good God. Dude, the frothing thing is pretty wild on the nose. I tell you what... It's okay. It smells like a totally different whiskey to me. Some MGP ryes smell like orange. You know, like a lot of them are citrus forward. Templeton 10-year rye, a lot of those are very citrusy. And this is not at all. This 12-year rye has 0 citrus notes on the one that I poured and did not froth. It's not there. The frothed version of this is so orange forward. So if this is what like lies beneath the tightness of this whiskey, that is ridiculous. All right, let me try this again. Jeb says, okay, wait. It's really spraying out, dude. Dude, that is frothy AF. Good Lord, Jeb. Yeah, this is Sarah's coffee thing. Sorry, Sarah. Yeah, and then after you froth it, I think you got to give it a second for the ethanol to settle down. Same thing as like swirling a glass. Swirl it, but then let it rest for a second before you smell it, because you're just kicking up all the ethanol. You got to tickle the bottom a little bit. Morgan says, coating a glass and letting it sit. Are there diminishing returns on the length of time to sit, or will it just keep opening up? There is diminishing returns. Yeah, some people will let whiskey sit out for 3 hours. I don't think whiskeys can handle that. In my experience, 15 minutes, you know, like if a whiskey really needs time in the glass, particularly like a finished whiskey, I would give it 10 to 20 minutes sitting out, and it's helpful. But the same thing with wine, like, you know, and maybe this is just me being weird, and maybe this is not. Jeb, please help me on this. When I've taken a wine and I've let it sit out for many hours, I find that they fall apart. Like, I know that some people are like, I let this wine sit for 3 hours before I even started nosing it. And to me, like, you lose something to that, and maybe that's what you're supposed to do with wine. But for whiskey, I find that after a few hours, things tend to fall apart for me. Russ! Yeah, can you imagine bringing a frother to a pick and looking at Dan Chick and going, hang on, and just dipping it in and frothing it? All right, that was the frothy one. Okay. And here's the non-frothy one. I'll be damned. The frother works. It kind of changes the whiskey fundamentally in a weird way. But it is totally worth experimenting with on your own. It made this whiskey taste so much sweeter. There was like this intense vanilla cream note that it never had on the original version, and that orange note too. It completely opened it up. I mean, but it also kind of changed it, I think. I cannot believe that. I thought this was a bunch of crap. Jeb says, I feel vindicated. Yeah, man. River Roots frothy monkey, dude. Can you imagine? It's like, can you imagine? I would have a freaking field day with that image. Yeah, Jeb says depends on the wine. That makes sense, too. Jesse, that's funny, man. How was the Smokeye? Hill says Ben. Fine. It's solid, but it's not. It has zero. It does not deserve any hype, in my opinion. I can't even talk. That's not the alcohol talking. I promise. It does not deserve any hype relative to the George T. Stagg stuff that was being discussed. Is it a good $80 bottle? Yes. The blue corn is unique. I'd love to see it at $60 instead. It's different, but I think it needs a few more years, and the profile is not that integrated to me. Like, it has this granular texture that just tells me that it needs more time in the barrel. Sorry, I'm just scrolling back and seeing seeing all the shit that I'm getting right now. Jeb, honestly, man, I have no idea. I have no idea. Mike's like, I have to buy a frother. Try it on Funky Monkey. Let's see what happens. Would it change viscosity and mouthfeel? That's a good question. It certainly changed the tasting notes. All right. It's crazy. The difference is crazy on the nose. And the other thing about it is it's not going back. It's not like I frothed it and then it's going to sit and return to its former state. It's not. It's completely different. All right, so that, again, is sweeter. More of that vanilla and that orange cream thing. Okay. It did change the mouthfeel a little bit. It's softer on the palate. The other version is more aggressive, a little bit more tannic, and I don't know if it's more enveloping. But it does soften the mouthfeel. Jeb is a trendsetter. New category in Matt Madness: frothed or not. Actually, that would be kind of an easy one if they're the same sample. Jeb says frothy. Yes, Jeb. Yes, sir. I will immediately froth that whiskey. I think this is the 11 short barrel. I think this is the Altschuler. Yeah. Okay. Pink Dan. You guys are killing me. You can't ever unfroth it. Oh. Devin, that is a great idea. They should have named their pick Junkie Monkey. That would have been very cool. Okay. All right. Wow, I cannot believe we're frothing whiskey tonight. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I have so many glasses on the table now. I'm going to get a few of these out of the way. I desperately need to catch up on Super Chats. I was really trying to keep up. And now I'm not doing great. Okay. Let's see. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight, by the way. I know we had a smaller turnout by a pretty decent margin, but I just realized the Republican National Convention's going on. I think a lot of people were probably tuning into that earlier. And then also, of course, like we weren't drinking, a flight of Stag Juniors and George T. Stags and all that kind of stuff on the thumbnail. So I appreciate you being here. Cameron the Frother. What's up, Lynn? Oh my God, you guys are funny. There you go. All right, so a little comparison here from the Drums and Drams Dark Arts pick to, where's it at? The short barrel. Jeb's short barrel. And then we're going to froth it. Okay. So, Dark Arts is on your right. Short Barrel is on your left. Jeb and Justin, you're cracking me up. Justin said, Jeb, after you froth it, do you let it, after you froth, if you let it sit, does it, Justin, you got to throw some commas in there, dude. Jeb, after you froth, if you let it sit, does it ever return to how it was before you frothed? And Jeb said, you act like it lasts that long. A keychain frother. Oh my God. Greg, sorry I'm late. I've been trying to check out a Russell's 15 for the last 8 hours. Amazing. Brian, do you think the Smokeye would have done better if it was frothed? No. No, I don't. I think this is the blend of the Russell's 15 and the Altschuler. It didn't really work. Made it taste like a scotch. Weird. Really weird. That didn't work. Clay, I'll be right on. I'll get right on that, man. Laser codes and frothing. Jeb, we have to start the frothing thing on this channel. Like, I love the idea of maybe like quarterly being the Alex Jones of Whiskey Tube, just quarterly, like throughout the micro batches and the laser, maybe twice a year, because we're in the summer now. The micro batches thing was like January. Maybe twice a year we drop something big on the masses, you know? The next one has got to be the frother. All right, yeah, Devin, like every review we do, it's like, all right, so I think this is like an 88 out of 100, but let's froth it and see what happens. And froth it, it's like, this is a 93. Can you imagine, guys, how about this? At a distillery, you blend in a vat, and then you put the biggest fucking frother that you've ever seen in your life in the vat, and you froth the whiskey. And then, as Whiskey Rambler says, then you have to label it froth finished. Morgan, I will take your God frother and I will raise you froth father. And it's like a hand with like 4 frothers. I'm having too much fun with this. You guys are cracking me. I'm crying. Can you imagine like an industrial sized frother? Does that exist? Oh, Jesus Christ. Which whiskey is on which side? Which one did I say is which, guys? I think that's the Dark Arts. Yeah. I think, what did I say? Did I say Short Barrel is on your left? I put the bottle back over here. And I put the Dark Arts here. So Short Barrel, I think, is on your left. Does anybody remember? I think that's right. You guys are crazy in the chat. This is hilarious. Edward frothing hands, micro froth. The froth is strong with this one. Holy shit. 11-year rye, level 3 char, level 2 froth. Yeah, we're gonna. Oh, sorry. I'm having too much fun. Mike says you have to rename the micro batches Patreon tier to Froth Fathers. We might have to open like a $75 tier and call them the Froth Fathers. What is it? What was the other one? The God Frothers or the Froth Fathers? Oh my God. All right, this has completely devolved. I'm so behind. Let me do some super chats so I feel better. I feel like I'm being productive. Jesus criminy. Oh, I have to... Okay, I am pretty behind here. Dark Arts is on my left. Okay, that is correct. Good. Oh, my good God. Hey, guys, please, somebody make a freaking spreadsheet of all of these froth names, suggestions, and merch ideas. Somebody just write all of this down, please, and send it to me. Because I don't want to forget all this stuff. This is amazing. This is amazing. Clay, I love this idea, man. But I can't just open tiers, says Brian. We could do a higher tier, but I always said that I was never going to go over $50 because I don't think there's anything like I don't think I can give anything else substantive for anybody over $50. And I feel like $50 a month is a lot of money. You know, it's a lot of money. Dark Arts is on your right. Yes. Cool. Okay. Where are we at? Let me get a few of these super chats. Let me know if I missed any guys in the live chat. I don't think I did. So we got Chip in with a 2-entry $10 super chat. Thank you, man, for tonight's sample giveaway, he says. Jimmy Shirley, which is Whiskey Rambler, in for 2. Thank you, Jimmy. Do you go by Jimmy or Jim? YouTube taxes theft. Sample me up, Poppy. That's funny. Leo, what's up, man? Sounds like we might get together in August with Chris, which would be awesome. Says Cam's NyQuil Fund. In for 3. Thanks, man. Lawrence Chang, let me get you in here. In for 1. Says, appreciate your detailed analyses. You strike me as the most unbiased whiskey tuber I follow currently. Cheers. And hashtag Team Vanilla. Let's go. Team Vanilla. Talking about ice cream. I'm a vanilla ice cream fanatic. Jeb says, don't get sick, bitch. We're gonna lose the blending competition now. I can't believe we're doing this in like 5 days, man. It's gonna be fun. It'll be nice to get out of the house, honestly. Fly down to Texas for a day and a half. Jerry, in for 1, says, sorry to say, your hat needs a larger font. Dan H, what's up, man? In for 5 with a little superhero emoji. Daniel Patterson, I'm gonna get 2 more and then we'll get back to this comparison. In for 5 says, cheers, hardly ever able to catch these live anymore. Why is that a hard sentence to say? And then Cartersville Outfitters, remind me, I don't remember who that is. I remember seeing that in Patreon as I think you had your name and then Cartersville Outfitters in parentheses. It says, cheers, dude, thank you. And then finally, Joe is in for 4 entries with a period. Okay. The father of the vat frother. Jeb, this is all your fault, man. I have to do a whiskey frothing video. I literally have to do this. Sorry, I'm just catching up. I bet Short Barrel will be so into it. Change the $25 tier to a froth name. We could do that. Avery. Just stop the taste and get a pick. Pull out a frother and proceed. Just put it directly in the barrel. Turn it on and say, that's better. Oh, God. Okay. Here is the Dark Arts pick we did. That cream soda note is so strong on the nose. I think it's got a big front of the palate. Jeb, fancy cardstock. Mr. Family Crest. I don't know if it was your family crest or just some design with like a, what do they call it? Like a monogram or something. The short barrel, Jeb, it has an industrial, like a motor oil note. Not just, like usually when you say motor oil with whiskey, you're talking about the color, the viscosity. This has an industrial motor oil kind of note on the nose. It's very interesting. I wonder how long this barrel was sitting in Atlanta in the heat. The proof is much higher on this than the Dark Arch. The Dark Arch is 112. This is 119. Wow. Funky on the back end. The short barrel has that MGP funk on the back end that I really, really like. The finish is lights out. The front of the palate is a little weird. Like, maybe not the palate. The nose is that interesting savory thing. And you can smell the funk in it when you go back to the nose after getting the finish on your first sip. Then that funk does show up on the nose. But this also feels kind of tight, just like the other short barrel. I wonder if it's the heat in Atlanta that causes that. Where if these have sat for any length of time in high heat, if maybe that's why the whiskeys feel tight. It's still very good, but maybe it needs to be frothed. Oh yeah, we're hitting the bottom. Yeah, we're just getting in there. That is a frothy bitch. Look at that. All right. Come on. Come on. Oh, Adam, that's you. God, of course. I'm sorry. Totally different whiskey. Like, it's a completely different whiskey now. Devin, I hate you. Jimmy, man, come on. It lost so much on the palate. It has no presence on the palate now. That is crazy. I think I frothed it too much. The nose is way better, and it has that, it's getting like more of that cream soda thing that the Dark Arts has. Yeah, it's starting to round out on the nose. But the palate's way weaker. So the answer had a Mike Tyson moment, sorry. The answer is somewhere in between uber froth and no froth on this short barrel Jeb. So we'll experiment in Texas next week. We'll experiment with the frother. Wink, wink. Good God. Morgan, that's funny. Maury, yeah, man. Maybe worth a rewind. And make sure you have the live chat pulled up if you do. Oh my gosh. I think I have one more pour though. Before we do the giveaway tonight, God, we're 2 hours and 9 minutes. Sorry, the giveaway is going to happen when we're done with this last pour. I saved this because it's hazmat. I'll just put this on the screen. No way, Jimmy, man. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. There are so many people that have signed off, and I do not blame them. It's my voice cracks. Voice cracking because of the frother. Okay, Matt Compton. Let me get your super chat, man. We just poured out this Lost Lantern, which I'm very interested in. Says, gonna try my luck. Cheers. Thank you, man. Jim Arcuri, in for two $10 super chat. Thank you. Guy. God, this was an hour ago. I'm so sorry, guys. Guy with 10 entries. Thank you, man. $50 super chat says, cheers. Appreciate that. Maury. who is good. Got to catch up on the frothing action here. In for 8, $40 super chat says sign me up for 8. Thank you. Jesse says NyQuil and Everclear. In for 2. Thanks, man. Jason Zell with a massive $50 super chat, 10 entries. I got you in there, man. Thank you. Jared says happy I joined the $25 tier last month. Cheers, Cam. Thank you, Jared. J Boogie. Get you in here for 3. We're going to catch up quickly. Avery Piper says, thanks for doing the live stream. Don't overwork yourself. Need you on top of your game for August travel schedule. Yeah, man, I think I'm going to be okay. Like, health-wise right now, I'm not at 100. Getting a little sniffly. I just need to blow my nose. But overall, like, I feel pretty darn good, so I hope I wake up feeling okay, too. I'm going to smash some Liquid IV tonight, have a little snack, go to bed. Marshall, got you for 5, says cheers. Justin Potts, in for 4, says this is to buy a hat that's not Black Gray or Bardstown. Get yourself something nice. Oh, that's funny. Anybody else? We just got 2. Oh, no. Okay, we had a few more. Okay. Jeez. We'll get those in a second. Oh, Brett says I can nose this chunky. Brett, did you get chunky and funky or just chunky? Says I could nose this chunky all day. I'm glad you like it, man. That's the Fat Kid whiskey. Reverse frothed. A new Penelope finish. Just, dude, you have missed some serious shit, let me tell you. Joe, I just joined. I am scared, as you should be. Oh, guys, somebody please be writing all of these. Anything that anybody says about frothing, like Jeb said, froth me, daddy. Somebody please write these down, please. If not, I'll just go through the live chat after the fact and make a spreadsheet. This is so funny. Yeah, I feel bad for anyone that's just now jumping in. The number of people in this live stream should only be dwindling at this point. If it's going up, we have a problem. Dennis, I have no idea how it works. I've had 2 today already, and it's probably way too much sugar for my body anyways, but trying to get that, I have the immune support, so I'm trying to get that vitamin C or something, right? Brett got 2 chunky and a funky. Have you tried the funky yet? All right. This is insane. This has been such a freaking live stream. I almost didn't go live tonight, and I'm so glad I did. I am so glad I did. Travis, I just saw your meme, dude. Oh. Okay, what is this? This is Lost Lantern from Rich Grain Distilling Company, and this bottle was donated by Walker, and I have to say thank you, man. Walker's been a ridiculous supporter of the channel, and I sincerely appreciate it, and I hope I get to meet him soon. I know he travels a lot, and I'm going to start getting on the road a lot more for the channel. Like, in the next... What is it? Basically, starting on Monday, the 22nd, I'm going to be gone 15 of the next 23 days, starting on Monday, I think, just for whiskey travel, which is crazy. Pours in the Park, going to Texas with Jeb, whiskey blendery stuff, the blending competition they've got there, and then 3 barrel picks at the beginning of August and 1 at the end of August, but not even counting the one at the end of August. All that stuff, it's like 15 days on the road, which is crazy that, like, the whiskey thing is going to have me start traveling and stuff. So I'm going to have to get really diligent about content, and so it's just amazing. But anyways, all that to say, thank you, Walker. Hope to run into you soon in Columbus or maybe elsewhere. Who knows, man? How are the limestones? Very good. Very, very good. Especially the top end stuff is wild. All right. So this is 140.8 proof or 70.4% ABV. I don't really know much else about... Well, actually here. This was made from 66% Mississippi-grown corn, 17% rye, and 70% malted barley, aged for 7 years in a 30-gallon barrel. There you go. So the only experience with 30-gallon barrels done right, in my mind, is Middle West Spirits. And this smells good. This has a little craftiness to it. Just a little bit. But it's not too much. This doesn't have the same farmy aspect that a lot of craft whiskeys have. Very chocolatey. But a little lighter, more crispy, like a... Oh, what is that? Crunch bar. Like a crunch bar? Yeah, this is like a crunch bar profile with those kind of rice, crispy, crunchy notes. Lots of cinnamon, too. Kind of a one-trick pony on the nose. And it's super intense. It smells hazmat. It crawls up your nose. Ooh, dry right away. Before I even swallowed it. Whew. Very good. But by God, that woke me up. That is intense. I can feel it in my, like, upper cheeks. Like, it's not just in my palate and here. It's, like, up here in my face. Whew, that is hazmat. Wow. Good God. Jesus, Jeb. I mean, come on. Just dropping it in there. This might need some frothing. I think this whiskey might need frothed. Yeah. I think it might need it. So the small batch, which one, like, which one is, let's see, is it this one? That says select batch. Okay. What does this say? Just bloodline. So when you say small batch, are you talking brown label? What does the private stock say? Okay, it says private stock. Excuse me. So select batch, small batch, private stock. I didn't realize that was on the label. First label red with the 9-year sticker. Okay. So this thing then. Yeah. Okay. This is an acceptable level of craftiness on the profile for me. It's almost over the top. Second sip is not nearly as intense as the first, which is nice. That first sip was too much. Maybe I'm just being a weenie, but this is a good profile. It's, you know what it reminds me of? And rightfully so, given the proof and pretty much the age, is the Nulu Short Barrel. Yeah. Minus the craftiness. Pretty close. It's just got that crafty thing with it. Very good. Little lemon lime now appearing on the nose, which is strange. Kind of blends in with the ethanol. Huh. All right. So this is not complex necessarily, but it's a one-trick pony, and it's intense, and it's very good. Yeah, Brian says, sure would suck if they were a ghost distillery never to release a barrel again. Yeah, that is the case. All right, let's froth it. Oh, yeah. If you get closer to the edge, Jesus Christ. If you get closer to the edge, it does froth better. Get a little more foam on top. Okay. private stock is going to 180. That is so crazy. So I wonder what the small batch, like the mahogany label, what is that going to go to then? Because if the prices drop that much, that is significant, man. Like, it's way easier to recommend, too, at 180. And if the next one is like 150 or something, it's an easy recommend at that price point. Frothing promo. Clay. That made this whiskey way better. The other ones, it's suspect because it really changes them so much. It made this whiskey way better. Walker, if you are listening, man, and you do not own a frother, you have to buy a frother and you have to froth the shit out of this Lost Lantern. Because I'm telling you, man, it really did help this whiskey. This live, what is happening tonight? Jeb, this is all your fault in the best way. All right. Let me catch up on Super Chats. We'll do this giveaway and we'll wrap this up. What a freaking stream. I have work at 10 in the... Actually, I don't technically need to be there at 10, but I'm still going to show up at 10 in the morning. We're doing a conductor audition tomorrow, which is kind of a big deal. But they assigned music for this audition that actually doesn't include percussion. So I'm not going to be doing anything, but I do still want to be there and, like, you know, at least watch the candidates, whoever's auditioning for the job. Yeah, dude, I got to get a holster for the frother. Excuse me. All right. I got Justin last. Let's move on now to Brian. Brian S. in for 2 says, thanks for the stream tonight, Froth King. Whew. We've started something, huh? Russ is in for 4. Thank you, man. With a couple of nice percussion emojis, maracas, a conga, and a snare drum. Mike Conklin, no stranger to those instruments, in for 5 says, I'm going to froth all the samples. Oh, gosh. Morgan O'Neill, in for 50, 10 entries. Wow, thank you. A new frother for the channel so your wife can have hers back. I can just rinse it off, right? It's not going to affect the frother? I don't even know. Thank you, Morgan. Oh, my gosh. Clay is in for 12. Jeez, you guys are being way too generous. Says 718. Pink Dan says, froth me, daddy. So we're gonna put that in there. Pink Dan in for 1. Bobby Holton, spoiler, in for another. If you want to get in on the super chats, guys, please do it in the next, 60 seconds. I think we're probably pretty well wrapped up at this point. I'm not trying to encourage you. There's so many entries, it's ridiculous. Thank you. You know the 10 pours that were in tonight's flight, the Limestone Farms, the 2 Altschulers, the 2 short barrels, Russell's 15, Stag 24A, the Smokeye Hill, and I'm missing something. Something else. It was good. Something else. I don't even know at this point. 12 pours. Oh, it's sitting in front of my face. It's the Lost Lantern. Jeez. So, next 60 seconds if you want to get in, but I think we're pretty well wrapped up at this point. 2 winners tonight. I got Bobby. Bobby is in for 1 more. And Clay jumped in for another $40. Thank you, man. Clay in for 8. Hey, I appreciate all your support, guys. Sincerely. The Patreon, the way that everything is going right now, I know the channel subscriber count is still pretty low. We're 8,700 or something. We are growing. I'm trying to do my best. I'm trying to balance shorts and long form now and make posts and just try different kinds of content here and there. You know, it's a slow and steady thing for me, but we're moving in the right direction. More importantly, though, besides that, is the Patreon and the Discord community is crazy. It's so active, and I'm very, very happy about that. And I care much more about that community and investing in this, whatever we're building there, whatever that is, that's more important to me than just the subscriber, count of the channel. But I really appreciate you being here and supporting with the super chats and everything else. It's really cool. Fundamentally changing my life, like no joke, with how I spend my time, like the travel stuff, doing things, and just meeting everybody. Pretty cool. Big Dan, there we go. No, Travis, no more cheese. No more cheese, man. Adam, what was the sentence? What was the sentence? Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll double check PayPal right now. The Venmo, I think I'm pretty well caught up. And let me scroll up on the live chat to make sure we're good, and then I'll share my screen and we'll do this giveaway. And we'll wrap this disastrous, amazing stream up. This is the true definition of off the rails for a live stream. What was the last chat in here? The last super chat in the live chat. I'm like back at 10:20 p.m. Parker Sutton, was Parker the last one in the live chat? I think that might be the case, actually. So I think we're good. I think we're caught up. Jeremy says we should start planning a meetup. So many people I'd like to meet. Yeah, I mean, when you guys, so I don't know, do other channels do meetups besides like the Junkies do their Pours in the Park? Do other people do meetups? And if I did one, like where should we do it? Should we do it here in Ohio, or is that out of the question? Like, would Ohio be a good place to do it? I don't know. No, I said 60 seconds at 11:29. It's 11:33. So we're good. We are wrapped up. Yeah, nothing else has come in. Most do regional meetups. So what would that mean for us? Should we, like, I know where I can book in Ohio. I know places we could go. But if I go to like a Kentucky, then I have no connections, no idea. Yeah, Tom, they're going to have plenty of seats there. Jason's doing one at Barstown Bourbon Company. Nashville at a distillery, Middle West. Spread out the locations. Second, Nashville. If I did it somewhere like Nashville or Kentucky, I would just have to have somebody else really, really, like I would need to have somebody significantly helping me with those bookings. You know. Jeff, what does that even mean? I got to start thinking about this then, because I think that would be nice. I got to think about this. Yeah, we'll talk. Let's talk about it in the Patreon a little bit more, or in the Discord. Let's do it in my house. You do not want to come to my house. My house is a piece of shit. We're gonna get a new house here in the next, 6 to 12 months. We'll be in a new place, hopefully. Hopefully a brand new place. Justin said we can do it at his house. You guys are funny. Okay, let's do this giveaway. Here's what I got to do. I got to zoom this out. Share my screen. It's like every Zoom meeting on a work call. All right, let me share my screen. Boom. There we go. So here's the deal. We're going to have to do this in two parts because there's so many super chats. It's ridiculous. So from Terry down to... There we go. From Terry down to Joe. Check your name and your number of entries. Many of you know how this works already. Your number of entries is your dollar amount divided by 5. So Terry had a $20 super chat. Divided by $5 per super chat is 4 entries here, etc., etc. If you entered twice, I know Clay entered twice, once for 60, which is 12 entries, another time for 40, which is 8 entries. That will appear separately on here. It will be in 2 separate entries. It's not combined. So check to make sure I'm accurate from Terry down to Joe. Then we'll do Matt down to the bottom of the list. If there's an error, please let me know in the chat right now. If I screw this up and you don't realize it till tomorrow because you're not here right now, but you watch the replay, we will add you into the next giveaway, but we're not going to change anything that happens tonight. Preemptive congratulations to Nick Jones. That's so cynical. Such a cynical comment. We could go to River Roots. Yeah, we could. I guess it would depend on how many people would want to come to the meetup. And then along those same lines, should we limit it to like Patreon members? So if it's Patreon members, then we could actually get an accurate head count. And then we could figure out from there, if we set a tentative date, get an accurate head count, figure out how many people are actually going to show up, then we could figure out how big the venue would need to be. If it could be like a River Roots, which is fairly small. Middle West is also pretty small. They have a new distillery, but I don't know what that looks like. They haven't opened it to the public yet. So it would really just depend. Jim says Venmo entry missing. I believe, Jim, you might be at the bottom of this list. So any entry issues, guys, so far? So let's scroll down now. Jim, I'm sure you're on here, man. Yeah, there you go. Jim, you are right there with 2 entries. So we were going from Matt Compton down to the bottom. We have a little bit of overlap here. Hang on, let me scroll just a smidge. Nope. There. So a little overlap from Lawrence down to Clay. Yeah, if you come to a barrel pick, Dennis, you definitely have to bring your own frother. It's a requirement. And your own glasses. I love the glasses thing. People think that's so ridiculous. I don't think it's that ridiculous. But, whatever. I have to stand by it. You forget one and you're asked to leave. All right, it sounds like no issues. So let me open up a new tab here. I need to find a new randomizer other than random.org. Oh, no, wrong button. There we go. List randomizer. I forgot to look for one. Wow. 182 entries. Jeez. Is that right? Hang on, guys. I'm trying to do the math in my head. I feel like I'm missing some. That means there should have been only a total of $20 in super chats in the live chat. You know what I need to start doing is I need to write next to the name where the super chats came from. That way I can track this at the end if I screw something up. I want to make sure I get this right, guys, so I do apologize, but just give me a second to go through this. I'm just super scrolling in the chat. We got a 5. We got a 9. Okay. And we got a 5. We got a 5. So this is not right. Son of a bitch. What did I forget? I think there's one super chat missing. I'm literally missing one super chat. I don't know where it's from. Hang on. Sorry, guys. Parker J. I thought I was doing so great on this, too. Mike B. I got Mike. So it's not here. Parker Moore. No, it's not here. It's in Venmo or PayPal. It's probably in Venmo. I'm a bit confused on this. I hate this. This pisses me off. You need to froth the spreadsheet. Sorry, guys. I'm in my head about this. Let me just look. This should be, like, we're starting at 1 and we're going all the way to 182. It should be 183 is the problem. Total. I can check these quickly, but just bear with me, please. There's 74 people left. I would like to publicly get this right, so just hang tight for a second. Terry Powers, Travis, Bobby, Greg, Matt, Mark, Walker. It's probably somebody that gave like 20 and I gave them 25 and I gave them 20 or something along those lines. Parker Morris 1. Got that. All right. All right, well, you live and you learn on this because I'm going to have to start putting where the Super Chats came from so I can track these better if something like this happens. Leo, yeah, with 3. Jeb, Jerry, Dan with 5. Daniel Patterson with 5. Matt Compton with 2. Jim with 2. Guy with 10. Maury with 8. Jesse with 2. Jason with 10. Jared with 3. I did get the 3. Avery with 2. Marshall with 5. Justin Potts with 4. Brian with 2. Russ with 4. Mike with 5. Morgan with 10. Clay with 12. Dan with 1. Bobby with 1. Clay with 8. I don't know what I'm missing. I'm confused. Really confused. If I catch this after the fact, then I'll make it up to whoever it is. Terry Powers with should have 4. Yeah. Parker Sutton has 2. Jeffrey Smith has 2. I don't see the problem here. Yeah. All right. We're going to just run it. If I figure this out, it could be something that just didn't populate correctly in this column on the right, because I did have a fat finger weird thing happen earlier and I hit Control Z and I did run it back, but it could be that someone's just missing an entry from this populated list on the right. So I'll run this back. And if I need to make it up to somebody, I promise I will. But I think everybody is represented that needs to be represented. So if somebody has 20 entries and instead gets 19, I apologize. I'll figure this out off stream and we'll make it right. Here we go. 7 times. No duplicate winners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here's the last one. 7. Boom. We've got Clay and we've got Guy with the top 2 spots. So congrats to you two. Let me write this down so I don't forget. And then after the stream, I'm going to figure this out real quick. All right. Giveaway winners. What's the date? July 18. Guy and Clay. Guy, I have your address. Clay, I don't remember if I have yours. So send it to me if you don't mind. Froth Daddy winners. Curious to hear your thoughts on a lot of these pours. All right, so that's going to do it. If I screwed this up for somebody, I apologize. We'll figure it out. We're going to wrap up with... Let's see. Let's wrap up with... I think this is the Altschuler 12-year. Great whiskey. So that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for hanging out tonight. 2 hours, 40 minutes. I said I wasn't going to do it, but we did it. Clay says, hey, Cam. Wait, let's wait to see what Clay says. Congrats, guys. Roll 6. Top 2 were on roll 6. Top 2 were both double same name. Yeah. They were. I did see that. What's up, Clay? Per usual, can you award to a first-time winner? Man. Yes, I can. And I'm sure they're going to be thankful for that. But are you sure, man? Because, you know, that's very cool of you. If you're sure. Let's see. I think Mr. Jeffrey Smith is a first-time winner. I think. So if that's the case, then we'll connect. Otherwise, Avery, would you be a first-time winner? I think you would be. So Jeff, are you Jeff, I think you would be a first-time winner, right? I can't remember. Never won. There we go. Well, Clay, thank you, man. And so Jeff, email me if you don't mind, drumsanddrams@gmail.com, and a big thank you to Clay for passing that forward. There you go. So shoot me your address. Remind me, that you won this evening, and I'll get these samples out ASAP before I leave for Texas on Monday. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody. Very cool. All right. Cheers. Some fantastic MGP to end the flight. In the night, not the flight. Whatever. This was more than a flight. All right. I'll see you guys soon. See you in the Discord. Cheers. Let's start talking about a meetup. All right. Have a good night, guys.